Hi and welcome to this week's Life Lessons video. It's great to be back with you all. Do you suffer from anxiety? Well, we're here to tell you that it doesn't have to be this way. We're going to explain to you how you can interpret your feelings so that they can help rather than hinder you. We're going to be sharing some practical techniques and tips so you can restore emotional balance and live an anxiety-free life. And in this video, we'll also be demonstrating our golden thread process technique, which David uses every day with his clients who come to him suffering from anxiety. So David, we've had a great question in from one of our supporters, and we get lots of questions. And I know you have lots of clients who come to you saying, I'm suffering from anxiety. So the question we've had is, I'm an anxious person and I suffer from terrible anxiety attacks all the time. I really want to stop feeling like this. I'm working hard to heal myself and create a healthy lifestyle. I practice meditation, yoga, read self-help books, and even go on health retreats when I can. They do all make me feel better for a short while, but then I start getting anxious again. Can you help? Welcome to our Wu Wei Wisdom Life Lessons series. In each episode, we answer your questions, reveal the powerful life lesson, and offer you lots of practical tips and advice to help you live in balance, harmony, and flow. Okay, David. So I'm a client who's come to you and said, I am suffering from really, really bad anxiety. Can you help? Where do we start with this?
So the first thing I say is, yes, I can.
Okay.
So first of all, you have to understand that when you're experiencing this really strong feeling that you want to call anxiety, or some people call it stress, or some people call it depression, or some people call it panic attack, you can have all of those names. All of those names are bandied around and talked about. And I would say, stop using that label. Now, this doesn't sound strong, but I can tell you it's very strong. Instead of using those labels, anxiety, panic attack, stress, use red light feeling. And why I recommend this is because when you keep on telling yourself you're anxious, guess what? You get more anxious. When you're telling yourself you're in panic, guess what? You get more panic. It's like as though you're stirring up the energy. Because like this lady says, when you're in the middle of those acute feelings, I am absolutely acknowledging those are the strongest feelings. Those are like a tsunami waving over you. The fire is raging. The fire is out of control. So the first job we have to do is to put the fire out. The second job we have to do is to find out why the fire started. So first job, put the fire out. Stop using those emotive words, anxiety, panic, overwhelmed, all of these words that I hear every day. Stop using them, please. Say, I have a red light feeling. You can call it intense. You can call it massive.
Yeah.
I have a red light feeling. And then we can start to do the work. So that's the first stage. Separate, be careful of your words, and we're trying to separate the feelings from what created them.
David, it almost feels like though that if you're telling me not to say it's anxiety, not to say it's overwhelming, not to say it's really, really bad, it's kind of denying how bad it really feels.
No, I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying we're calling it for what it really is. It is a feeling. That's what it is. I absolutely accept, understand, acknowledge, get on my knees, say to you, I know what you're saying. This is a very intense red light feeling.
Yeah.
So we do not want to make it worse by giving it these emotive labels that make it worse. So when you start to say, you can call it intense. I have a really intense red light feeling, David. Now that allows us to investigate it more. We do not get pulled into the tsunami of the emotion. It's like as though someone's drowning and you jump in and you can't swim yourself. The emotion will pull you down. So you have to become the observer. Observe yourself experiencing this feeling. Remember, it's that feeling, and who creates your feelings. And this is the Wu Wei teaching. You are the creator of all of your emotional feelings. You are not the victim of it. So just take a moment on that before we delve into this question, because this is the sticking point. You are the creator of your emotional feelings. You are not the victim. Now, I hear every day my clients nod their head, and you nodding your head and saying, yes, that's true. Now, you can intellectually accept that statement, but does that part of your mind that we call the inner child, does he or she accept that she is creating the feelings? That's the question. That's what the golden thread, which we're going to demonstrate in a moment, takes you back to the core of what created the fire. So first step is, I have a raging fire. How do we put this fire out? How do we lessen this fire? So that's the first stage. When someone comes to me, what's the words? Let's clear the words. Now, when you're in the emotion, it is like you're being turmoil. This is turmoil. You're in the center of a tornado. But you know what the Taoists say? In the center of every tornado, there is a quiet spot. And you have to find and learn how to find that quiet spot. You have to learn how to drop your shoulders. You have to learn how to take a deep breath. Acknowledge your feelings. Acknowledge that you've created them. And breathe. And change your vibration. Because when you keep on churning up the chi energy, it doesn't make it better, it makes it worse. It's like you're on the hamster's wheel. We call it the carousel of despair. And you're panicking and going quicker. Until, where do you get to? You get to complete exhaustion. You get to complete shut off. And the problem is, as this lady said, you haven't dealt with what created the fire. So first, use your words. Be really careful of your words. Please try this. I have a red light feeling. I have an intense red light feeling. I have an overwhelming red light feeling. I don't know what you call it, but I have a feeling. Then you can drop your shoulders. Then you can say, what have I been thinking, or what do I believe that created that feeling?
And I would imagine, David, that what you said about accepting that you are creating the feelings, the red light feelings, which can be very, very bad. A lot of people won't accept that that very, very, very first step.
That's where it goes wrong.
Because if I can see that if you don't accept, if you blame, that person's caused me to have really bad anxiety or really bad red light feelings, or this situation is really triggering my red light feelings, or if it wasn't for this happening, I would not have red light feelings. I would be experiencing green light feelings of joy, contentment, inner peace, calm. If that part of your mind that we call the inner child or the human-centered mind, a lot of people also call it the ego, if you can't accept 100% that you create all of those feelings for yourself in response to external situations, so these external situations are happening, but if you can't accept that you control those feelings, then you're not going to get off first base with this method you're talking about.
And this is the whole point, is you've just explained it perfectly, Alex. You can't get past first base. And I can tell you, when I'm working with my clients, it will normally be 1 or 2 or 3 sessions that we have to really take this apart. So what Alex has just said is so important. If you do not believe that you are the creator of your emotional feelings, you can't get past first base. You have to stick with that. And I'm not talking about, oh yeah, I kind of believe it. Oh yes, I understand what you're saying. No. This has got to be more definite. 100%. You create every emotional feeling in your body. As Alex said, as a result of the environment, as a result of other people, as a result of what I call events, situations. So that's down the line. We are just talking first base. You've got to understand that you create those feelings. Now, that will seem like a mountain for you to climb. I understand this. I do it with my clients every day. I hold their hands and we work through this. But we have to be honest, direct, fair. We have to speak truthfully to each other. And if they say, I don't create them, then I tell them, well, and I'll say this to you, if you do not create your emotional feelings, then who or what does? Because you see, that is exactly what Alex says. Because if you do not accept that, you are now the victim. You are now on the receiving end, and everybody else creates the feelings in you.
A lot of people believe, though, David, that, the feelings come from within them. They're not kind of landed on them. I know some people do believe they are kind of attacking them.
They're attacking them.
If you get past that point and you say, okay, I know the physical feelings, sweaty palms, racing heartbeat, dryness in my
churning
throat,
stomach,
tension in my neck and my head and my back, all sorts of physiological feelings. Of course, they're within me. But it's just a natural reaction. It's a natural reaction to a high-pressured situation.
No,
I mean...
It's a natural reaction based on your belief system.
Okay.
And that's the second step. Once we identify the red light feelings, once you learn how to change your vibration, and that can be, as this lady's done, yoga, meditation. I personally would recommend meditation. I believe that you should all be doing meditation 10 minutes a day. You should all be doing some form of meditation. Not only in the bad times. Again, this is what I get time and time again. People will do meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong when things are bad. And when things get sorted out, guess what happens? They stop doing the things that brought them through the things, and they go back to doing the things that cause them the problems. This is nonsense. Stop it. Yeah. Will you stop it? You know, this does not make sense. You do something, it gets you through the problem, and then you stop doing what gets you through the problem and start doing what led you into the problem. Stop it. For goodness sake. You know this doesn't make sense. Find a practice that you can do 5, 10, 15 minutes a day. I would say meditation. You may prefer something else. And you've got to learn to lower your vibration. You've got to learn to drop your shoulders. You've got to learn to get to that first base, as Alex says. It's so important.
So, sorry, David, what do you mean when you say lower your vibration?
So just imagine if you ever have suffered from what this lady's saying, anxiety, panic attack, your vibration is right up here. Your head,
all over the
your chi, I would call it chi energy, your vibration, your thinking is going 10 to the dozen. You're like a hamster on that wheel going to absolutely full place. And then you come to someone like me and say, I've got no energy. I can't sleep at night. No wonder if you're running around like some crazed hamster. And so you've got to learn to drop your vibration, acknowledge your feelings. And I would say, as Alex said in the beginning, rather than responding to your feelings, interpret your feelings. Okay. So I'm going to say something now and you'll all roll your eyes. Your feelings are your greatest asset. Your feelings are telling you whether your belief system is right or wrong. If you keep on having red light feelings, I'm telling you, you've got a wrong belief down there and you've got to go and find it because that's what's creating the fire. It's no good keep moaning about the fire. Oh, look at this fire. Look how big it is. Look how much it's out of control when you keep on setting the match and setting it off.
So what you're saying, David, is even if we are faced with a very pressured or very challenging person or situation, it's almost like that is irrelevant in the equation you're proposing. It's the beliefs that are creating the red light feelings.
I'm saying...
Rather than the person or the situation?
Okay, so let me answer your question directly. I am saying you will, without doubt, meet difficult, challenging situations and really difficult people. You will. You cannot set up a life that avoids that situation. So what I'm saying is you have to learn how to deal with those situations. This is what I call life lessons. You have to have the toolbox to deal with those difficult situations. You probably will go through redundancy. You may go through divorce. You will go through the death and the loss of a loved one. You will go through these twists and turns. Life, everybody does. Here's a Taoist saying, we all have a story. We all have a story. Every one of you watching me, you, me, Alex, we all have a story. Not one story is better or worse than any other story. This is your story. This is gaining your life experience. You've got to learn how to deal with these difficult situations. You can't do what a lot of my clients do, try and control or manage life and the outside world so they are okay. You're managing the wrong thing. I say you're putting the cart before the horse. You are getting it round the wrong way. And as this lady says, that's why it never works long term. She can have a quick fix. She can listen to a meditation. She can read a self-help book. She can go on a retreat. Within 2 weeks, she's back to where she is because she's not made those fundamental changes. And the fundamental changes are in your beliefs, in your thoughts, top line, and the drive in like the computer program, the thing that drives you, like the sat-nav, if you like, that's guiding your life is your belief system.
So we have the feelings at the very top, the red light feelings. Below that is the thoughts and what you're thinking and self-talk. And then the deepest layer is the core beliefs. Right. So the core beliefs drive your thoughts and your self-talk, which then create the red light feelings or green light feelings in response to whatever external situations you're presented with. So
Absolutely.
People, situations, challenges, etc. And I agree with you, David, what you said about a lot of people's strategies are either trying to manipulate the outside world so that there are no challenges or no upsets or anything which is going to trigger the beliefs, the negative self-talk and create the red light feelings. So a lot of people spend their whole lives doing that, or they avoid. So avoid putting themselves in unfamiliar, challenging situations, which is going to trigger stuff and give them the red light feelings. It's almost like they want to wrap themselves in cotton wool, or they do what this lady's done, which is spend all their time, trying to meditate, doing yoga, going on health retreats, reading every self-help book known, which helps in the moment. As you say, it might get rid of the initial fizziness, that high, overly stimulated vibration, but that searching, trying different techniques, it's not going to deal with the core problem, which is the core beliefs. The
core belief. And you mentioned a word there that I hear virtually daily, triggered. I'm triggered. I was triggered by this. He triggered me. He pressed my buttons. He did this. He did that. And all that trigger is, it's exposing to you, showing to you an unresolved issue that I call a life lesson. Something that you haven't got the tools, you've not equipped yourself for the tools. And that's the deeper work. That's the real work. That's the work that will make the difference. That's you taking control of your life, what I call self-responsibility. Self-responsibility is the most spiritual thing that I can pass over to you. Take responsibility. Remember, you are not perfect. Can I repeat that for all of you out there? You cannot be perfect. It is okay to make a mistake as long as you learn from the mistake. It's okay to make a mistake as long as you learn from that mistake. Don't keep on making the same mistake, because that puts you onto the carousel. You're going round and around and round. And if you're getting triggered, that's a signal to you to go, okay, so what is it that person said to me, that event caused me? What is it that gives me a red light feeling? Because I know that belief is wrong, else I wouldn't get the red light feeling. So what Alex has just said is really important. If you think about it, 3 levels. Number 1, feelings, emotions. Number 2, your thoughts, your thinking. Number 3, where I want to get to, where I believe you can do the work quickly, efficiently, so effectively, your beliefs. What you believe, your core beliefs, those standards, those morals, those principles that you hold dear. Have you ever asked yourself, where did you get those beliefs from? Did somebody sit you down when you were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and says, right, it's belief lesson now. I'm going to give you your beliefs that you have to follow through the rest of your lives. No one's done that for you or for anyone else. So we get our beliefs piecemeal. We watch our parents. We watch our grandparents. We watch our teachers. We watch our friends at school. We experience something. So, for instance, if you went through a bullying experience, that would affect your belief. And all I'm saying is you've got to dig down to that belief. Make sure it's fit for purpose. Yeah. If you're experiencing red lights, it's not fit for purpose.
And that's a great indicator, really, isn't it,
That's
David?
what I said. It's the greatest.
So we can, as kind of uncomfortable or painful as the red light feelings are in that moment, they're actually our greatest help, because they are signposting us to a life lesson to be learned, to a inauthentic or corrupted or misaligned core belief, which is not serving you well.
That's it. Simple as that. Clients hate it when I say that. They go, I'm really anxious. Oh, good. We can find out why. They want me to talk about their anxiousness. It's like, we go back to the analogy of a fire. It's like, let's talk about how bad the fire is, how strong it is. Let's find out what created the fire. Let's go to the core. Have you ever seen those on TV when you see you knock one domino and all the dominoes spread out? You've got to get to the top domino, and that's your belief system. Your beliefs are the driving force. Your beliefs are the main things. And can I say one simple thing? Please meditate on this. Make sure you believe in what you believe in. Make sure you think you can stand up. And we say it on lots of video. Would you teach your beliefs to your children, to your physical children? What you say to yourself in your self-talk at 3 a.m. in the morning, would you say that to your physical child? And if the answer is no, of course I wouldn't, then why are you saying it to you? I nearly swore then. Why are you saying it to yourself?
Yeah, because it does harm.
It's harming you.
Yeah,
and if you wouldn't harm your physical child, then what is the difference about harming yourself? Stop it. For goodness sake, stop it. This is nonsense. Treat yourself as you would treat your physical child. Learn those lessons. It is not disgrace not to understand everything. I'm learning every day off my clients. I want to learn. I think it's good to learn. I'm not perfect. I'm not a guru. You're learning as you're going along. We're on this journey. Remember, the journey is the destination. There's no destination where it's a utopian Disney world where everything's perfect and you're going to be happy and everybody's going to be happy and the world's going to be the way that you want it to. You'll never get that. This lady's wrong. If you're getting anxiety, you're creating it. Go and find out why you're creating it.
And we've also done a full-length teaching album on beliefs and how our childhood beliefs affect us into adulthood. We've called it Te, which is the Taoist word, Te, which is the Taoist word for beliefs or morals. And I will put a link in the video description below if you're interested in that particular album.
And although that word may seem strange to you, you have heard it Tao Te Ching.
Yeah.
It's the Te, Te, your beliefs, your morals, your standards, your values, whatever you want to call them. And that's what's driving your life. And be very careful. Be very careful that your beliefs are not a belief of an 8-year-old. And if they are, then you've got an 8-year-old at the wheel, at the wheel of your car, driving your car. Mm-hmm. You're not in control. The inner child is in control.
Okay, so David, I've listened to what you've said about the being triggered, and I think that was quite a powerful teaching. You know, we use this word triggered a lot, and it's almost like we have a choice. Do we say, yes, this situation is triggering me, and that's telling me there's a lesson for me to learn here, there's a corrupt belief for me to learn, rather than saying, that person's triggering me, I'm blaming them, or this situation is triggering me, I'm blaming them, right? I want to take full self-responsibility now, David. So I'm a client and I come to you and I say, Dave, I'm feeling very, very anxious. Yep. I've got a lot of pressure at work. I'm feeling very overwhelmed, very anxious. I just can't cope. I want to run away from the situation. Explain to me how you would work with me now.
So right away, I would start with the words that they're using. Mm-hmm. I feel anxious. I feel pressured. I feel I want to run away. Those are not good descriptions. I would ask them to say, I have a red light about work.
Okay.
Then I'd say, okay, so what is the red light about work?
Okay, so I have
what is creating
really bad red light feelings.
What's creating them?
I've just started a new job and I feel really out of my depth.
And I would say, I'm sorry, okay. Please, this is what happened, so let me show you.
I want you to work this through with me.
I know Alex is just making it up, it's hard for her, but stop using the word I feel. Again, this is very powerful. Replace I feel with I think, I choose, I believe. Stop using the word I feel. Ban the F word. When you're doing this work, do not say I feel. I think, I believe, I choose.
Okay, David, I'm so used to saying I feel. What's wrong? What's wrong with saying I feel?
Because it takes you right to your feelings, and it allows you then in the Wu Wei model, it allows you to lie. It allows you're just describing a feeling. Mm-hmm. You're not taking responsibility for creating that feeling. So what you've done, if I allow you, you put me on the carousel with you. All you're saying is, I feel he doesn't like me. I feel I can't do this job. I feel. Instead of saying, I choose, I think, I believe. And what that does, it gets you to take responsibility. Can you see the difference? It gets you to own it. Okay. I feel makes you into a victim. I feel is I can't do anything about it. All these feelings just fly around the room and I feel this way. And once you stop using I feel to I think, I choose, I believe. I believe I can't do this job, whatever. I think the boss hates me. Then
So, are you saying don't use I feel? Because if we start to talk about what we believe, what we're choosing or what we're thinking about, is that then moving us down to the next level? So this whole process is about navigating down to the core beliefs. Yeah. So I'm a client, I've come to you, I'm used to talking about how bad I feel about this situation or how bad my anxiety is. So you're saying stop talking about the feelings, acknowledge them, don't ignore them. No. They can be really, really bad, but rephrase how I talk to you about them. So
that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. If you keep on saying I feel, you will not do the golden thread. The golden thread is not about your feelings. As Alex said, please, I'm acknowledging you got terrible red light feelings. I'm acknowledging the feelings keep you awake at night or whatever they want to do. It makes you sweat, makes you not sleep. I'm acknowledging all of those. Now, it's not going to help you to spend hours and hours and hours and hours keep talking about your feelings. Nothing's going to change.
Even though that's what I'm used to doing.
That's what people
but that's
love
why
to do.
We don't get a resolution.
That's why we don't get the resolution. And then when the feelings go away, that's why they return a week later. Because we haven't found out what created the fire. We've got to find out, first of all, acknowledge the fire, put the fire down by learning how to meditate, dropping your shoulders, changing your vibration. And then the next job, as quickly as you can, go and find out what created the fire so it doesn't create again. That's it. People often ask me, how long does this take, David? I'm telling you, it takes that long. Once you can do this, once you learn that lesson, that fire will never start again.
So let's carry on with this golden thread, following this golden thread, this strand of to find the origin.
I think you once said it was like following breadcrumbs.
Yeah, it is following breadcrumbs. Yeah. So right at the top we have the red light feelings, right? I'll rephrase what I've said to you, David. So I believe that I am not going to be able to cope with this new job. So let me just give you another thing now. Yeah. That was very good what Alex just said. When you're doing this for yourself, keep your answers succinct, almost like a line if you can do it. I believe I cannot I'm not going to be able to cope with the job. Well, can I just...
No, don't.
I want to make the point, though, that I think I could go on forever and give you all the reasons
and I just want the first...
I've got these red light feelings.
Exactly.
And so what's the benefit of just focusing on the one singular point?
That's the mind now putting you into the carousel. That's the mind now wanting to go on forever.
To tell you how terrible it is.
I call it the dump. They just want to dump on you.
Okay.
So I believe I can't cope with this job. That's all I need to hear. That's all you need to hear, the first sentence. David, I believe I can't cope with this job. Then we do the golden thread. Why don't you believe you can cope with the job?
Well, I feel really out of my depth.
Now you've given me a feeling again. See what? That's a great example.
So that's the mind or the ego or the inner child wants to take you back up to that top level.
Exactly.
Because and it's like a natural default, isn't it? If you're not used to doing it this way and separating the feelings from the thoughts and beliefs, it's almost like your natural default. Although I know what you're going to say, it's not natural. It's to go back to the feelings.
It's learned behaviour.
Okay.
Can you see why clients hate me? You can see why they don't like me.
Okay.
Because when we do these first couple of sessions, it's really hard going. Because like Alex, you want to go, let's talk about my feelings again. Let's go back to the top because I'm much more comfortable to discuss my feelings. Let's go round and around discussing how bad they are, and she made me feel and he made me feel and I felt and the weather was bad and it's all terrible and it's a nightmare and the world's a nightmare and my life's a nightmare. Poor me, I can't cope, it's all too much for me.
And then it's like that's what you do, and then you end up so confused. You literally can't see the wood for the trees. You can't make any progress with this, can you?
But then the inner child has got what he wants. You're so confused, you don't change. And you stay on the familiar. You keep doing the same thing.
And why does the inner child want you to stay doing what you do?
Because it wants to be in control. And it thinks that much better to stay with what you know, the familiar. This is the term I hear lots and lots. Well, it's easier. How many times have you said that? Well, it's easier. It's not easier. How can this be easier? This is a complete and utter nightmare. This is not easier. All I'm asking you to do is don't use the word I feel. When you're doing the work, when you're doing this work, don't use I feel. I think, I believe, I choose. That's all. How can that be hard? What's hard is you don't want to take responsibility. That's the difficulty.
But David, this time I do want to take self-responsibility. I can see my inner child wants to keep me safe and protected. Would have preferred for me to stay in my old job where it was really comfortable, where I wasn't pushing out of my normal comfort zone.
But there's the paradox, and then the child moans because...
Yeah, but that's the thing. Then I was, beating myself up for staying put when I know I could have had a better job. So I'm in this new job now. I've come to you, I've said, I believe I'm not going to be able to cope with this. And you've asked me, why do you think?
Why do you believe you can't cope? First sentence.
Okay, so I believe I can't cope because I've been given a load of work that it's just too much for me, and it seems too complicated, and I think I haven't got the skills to manage it. And so am I starting to dump again now?
You're starting to dump now, you see.
Okay.
So I would just keep you on that first sentence. I've been given too much work.
Yeah.
So why did you accept as too much work? Why didn't you say to your line manager or your boss, this is too much work for a person who's just starting at this job brand new?
But I believe that this is what's expected of me, and I'm concerned that I'm going to show myself up.
That's all I need to hear. See, first sentence,
Yeah.
that's all I need to hear. So why didn't you ask your boss or your line manager, is this amount of work what is expected of me?
Well, I don't want to, because I think that my line manager, she'll think that I'm not up to the job. I don't want to.
Well, you may not be up to the job. You may not be up to the job.
That's kind of creating more red light feelings.
Well, it's not. Because you may not have done the correct research, and this job may not be right for you. Let's test whether this job is right for you. So let's speak to your line manager and have a meeting with them and say, you've now given me these 10 projects. Is this what you would expect a new employee to do immediately? What are your expectations? Because you didn't tell me this at the interview. You didn't mention that as soon as you walk in the door, Alex, you're going to have 10 complicated projects, and we expect you to do those immediately. So you see, what we're doing is empowering you to go and address the situation. Now, they might,
rather than blaming myself.
Exactly. They may say to you, actually, Alex, that's a very small amount. If you want this job, you'll be getting double that amount. Then you can say, well, I'm sorry, I don't think I'm the right person for this job. You didn't explain this to me at the interview. You didn't tell me that this is what was going to happen, or I misunderstood, or you didn't explain yourself well. Don't believe you've got to shoehorn yourself into every situation. You should be doing a job that you enjoy, that you're good at, that stretches you, that expands you. And you can only do that by being authentic and addressing the situation at hand, not blaming yourself.
And I think a lot of the time in this situation, I know deep down that I can do it. It's just...
So why aren't you doing it?
It's my self-doubt.
Stop. So if you hear the word there, self-doubt, what part of you is doubting what part of you? So what part of you do you doubt?
I doubt...
So here's where you breathe and drop your shoulders. See now? You see how the energy, even on this camera, I don't know whether you can experience it, the energy changes. The vibration, as I said at the top of this section, the vibration has now changed. Because I know Alex is difficult because she's role-playing. Yeah. This is not experience for her. But right now she has to think a bit more deeply. Now she has to think, well, what am I doubting? What is it about me I doubt? See, it's much easier to go to your feelings and then you whip up the energy again. To drop your shoulders and think, well, okay, what is it I am doubting? Perhaps I do need to go away and learn something more.
I think in this situation, I think I'm doubting my ability to perform to perfection. And so actually it's highlighting a belief that I need to be perfect. Otherwise, I'm not going to be good enough. So the red light feelings right at the top, you know, this is a nightmare. I started a new job. I've been given too much work to do. I've got terrible anxiety. The red light feelings caused by thinking that I'm not going to be able to cope with the job or the project, which are coming down to the beliefs is there's self-doubt there. What's driving the self-doubt in this situation is a belief that I should be perfect.
Exactly. And that's
what's anxiety about this situation that's triggering me.
And
So it's not the situation,
right.
it's the belief
Exactly.
of I need to be perfect to be good enough.
So the life lesson is now working on perfection. If Alex's, role play was a client, now we'd be wanting to concentrate on, right, we found the problem. Your life lesson is you believe there is such a thing called perfection. I disagree with you. Could you now please tell me what perfection is? Now we would work on perfection. Now the vibration has changed. Now we're working on the core belief. And here's the thing. If Alex was a client, I am not trying to change her belief. I'm not trying to inject another belief. I'm asking her why she believes what she believes. That's the key. See, I'm not saying your belief is wrong. I am saying I disagree with you. So I might be wrong. I might be wrong. Prove to me there's such a thing as called perfection. How do you judge it? What is perfect? Who judges perfection? Those are the really powerful and wu-wei changes that you make when you get down. See, there's nothing to get excited about. There's nothing to get worried about. The thing is, if Alex is a client, what she's saying is, I believe there is something called perfection, David. Great. I don't. Now, please prove it to me. I'm interested. I could be wrong. Prove to me there's perfection. Prove to me what perfection is. How do you judge it? Who judges it? How do you get there? How do you maintain there? All these things that we talk about each week.
And I think I kind of jumped a bit really to get down to that core belief. And I know if you were working with someone, there would be more of the golden thread process. Why question? Yeah. But eventually, whether it's 2, 3, 4, half a dozen sessions, you fairly quickly get down to the core misunderstanding, which in this instance is the belief that I'm not good enough. Therefore, if I'm perfect, I'll be good enough and everyone will like me.
And that's where you work.
Yeah, and that's where you do the work.
That's what starts the fire.
And so if that's what starts the fire, that's where you will, using the golden thread process, you'll quickly get down to that. If we resolve that misunderstanding, learn the life lesson that, I am good enough.
Or whatever.
There is no such thing as perfection.
Whatever.
Or whatever. I mean, we're talking about what we call the 3 lies here. So I'm not good enough, I can't cope, or I can't manage, or I'm unlovable. They're generally the core misunderstandings that are formed in childhood, as you would say, that drive our beliefs, our thoughts, our self-talk, and then create the red light feelings.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was one thing that you did there, which we don't talk about much, but it was quite obvious. And I want to just, what I call the dump. When you're doing this for yourself, try and keep those answers succinct, very short. Don't let your mind run you around, because then it gets you confused. So the question is, why do you do that? Answer, short, to the point, and then you can move on. You can always go back and change it. It's not carved in stone. You can go back and change it. But once you get that momentum going, you'll be surprised, as Alex says, how quickly you can get to the core. And here's the point. When you get to the belief, no one can change your belief, only you. Because you actually was the person who put it in there as the result of what you saw and witnessed as a child normally, but you put that belief in there. And all I'm asking you to do, as Alex's example, if you believe in perfection, then give me the evidence. Give me the reasoning. Show me how it works. Because then I want to be perfect, don't I? Why wouldn't you tell me? And so that's the key, to get down to that core root, core belief. It's right at the base, it's the foundation, and then discuss it. And then you see it changes. We're not arguing, we're not getting upset. There's no emotion involved. It's just a logical discussion.
And I know, David, the point you make about making the choice to change the belief is very, very important, because we take responsibility to do this process, which is great, and to find the work, not to blame other people, not to blame external situations. But equally, when you do then get down to the core belief, I know a lot of clients, you'll expose the core belief for them, lay it out and say, right, here you are, and they'll say, yeah, you know what, I can see that this is what's causing the problem, but they still won't make the choice to change.
And you can't make them.
And why is that?
Because they are not taking full responsibility. They still believe there's a value in holding on to that core belief. The value that they normally believe it does is there is a utopian. There is this place that they can go to. So the child will normally, not every child, but will normally experience a bad experience, either a bad childhood or something that they didn't like, or a series of things that they didn't like, or bad parenting experiencing, or school experience. And then what the child does, something very creative and wonderful. The child then creates an alternative, like a utopian. A utopian where we call it roses grow around the door, bunny rabbits jump in the field. Everybody's happy. Everybody agrees with each other. Everybody does what the child thinks is fair and just. And everybody walks around with a jolty whistle, and everybody doesn't argue, and there's no confrontation. And the child doesn't want to give up that dream. The child doesn't want to accept reality. The child says, no, I really think that this utopian Disney world will really work, where everybody's happy and I'm happy and everybody agrees with me and we all get on well and nobody argues and nobody feels bad and everybody's lovely. And they don't want to give up the dream. And that's why, in my experience, when you get down to the core, when you're having the logical, calm conversations on a different vibration, the child then goes, you know what, this is either I live in reality or I try and achieve this utopian world, this Disney world that I've made up.
And I suppose that when you choose to still keep in place the faulty belief, you are allowing the child to run your life.
Exactly.
And that's why then we need to step in as the adult and emotionally educate that inner child, that part of our mind that still believes in utopia. And so, I mean, we've done lots of videos on inner child work, inner child reparenting. I will put a link above and I'll put a link in the video description below to all the videos we've done on the inner child work. So if we can educate the child, make the child understand that there is no utopia and actually life is far more expansive, joyful, interesting, creative, wonderful. If we accept reality, then we release the inauthentic belief, which is blocking us, it's blocking our flow, it's blocking our wu wei, and it's causing those top level red light feelings, and your life changes then. Your
life changes. If you can, once you understand the situation, which is what the golden thread does, brings you back to the core, you discuss what the child is doing, that part of your mind that we label the inner child, that they don't want to let go of this perfect utopian world. And what you have to educate them is they can have that utopian world in reality when they stop making these misunderstanding, these lies about they're not good enough, they can't cope, they're unlovable, people should act in the way, they can't deal with confrontation, they don't want this, they don't want that, they want everything the way they want it. Once they can let go of all those false beliefs, then they can create the utopian within reality.
Yeah, brilliant. And so this golden thread process, as we said, is about focusing on your thoughts and your beliefs, getting down to the core beliefs. We've also talked about, so that deeper work needs to be done to finally once and for all resolve the red light feeling.
And it will never come back. That red light feeling will never come back.
So the lady who does all the yoga, reading the self-help books, tries the meditation, yes, that will help bring down the frothiness. It'll help just settle down your emotions and your feelings so that you can then do this deeper work. Absolutely. So we're saying it's almost like a combination of the two, but don't think you can just do the yoga and the meditation if you're not doing the deeper level work.
Absolutely.
And this is the self-responsibility. This is the emotional, self-compassionate self-discipline. So not discipline in a harsh way.
No.
This is about learning to understand and control your thoughts and your beliefs in a compassionate and loving way, so that you become the master of your emotions. You become the master of your reality. You're not avoiding life. You're facing it head on.
Yeah, I can understand why some of my clients don't like the word compassionate self-discipline, because in their childhood they've been over-disciplined, and I can understand that. I can't think of a better word. Perhaps if you can think of one, you could put it below. But it's this discipline, this compassionate self-discipline, that this work is vitally important. I would say it's life-changing. I would say that what you've heard us talk about here can change your life within days or weeks, very quickly, very efficiently, and put you in control. Now, you've got to have the discipline, because there'll be lots of things down that golden thread where, like Alex did, wants to take you back up again.
Hop back up to the beginning.
And it is, when I'm working with my clients, I can see them really annoyed with me, and I can understand that. But I believe truly that I'm doing them the greatest service, because I'm guiding them through, and I'm saying, no, we've got to stick. We've got to have the discipline to stick, to find out what this core belief is. Remember, when we get there, I can't change it. I am not even trying to change it. I'm trying to expose it. So now you can never say what I hear every day. I don't know why. When I say to them, well, why'd you do that? I don't know why. And this is where you go back to the top again. You're not taking responsibility. You're trying to avoid. And that's the key. You must know why. Then you can carry on doing it. If, like, as the role play that Alex did, if you believe there's perfection, then great. Convince me. I'd like to be perfect. Tell me how I can be perfect. You should be telling me, shouldn't you? You should be start your own YouTube channel. Yeah. You can be perfect.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, David. Well, I hope that's given you hopefully a fresh perspective on anxiety, where it comes from, and most importantly, what you can do about it. If you can relate to anything we've discussed in the video, please share and comment below. You know, we're always delighted to hear from you, and everyone reads the comments, and we're all in this together. If you enjoyed the video, we produce new videos every week, so don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you'd like to learn more about working one-to-one with David using the golden thread process, as we've demonstrated in this video, David does video calls with people all over the world. And again, I will put a link below in the video description so you can learn more about his sessions.